Take three. Ryan Papola here from WWE's The Bump. Hopefully we'll be joined by Evan T. Mack from WWE's The Bump in just a minute or two. We've tried this a couple times. We are resilient. We, much like Edge, have grit. So we'll see if we can get Evan in here. If not, Raw was bananas, and we will talk more about it this week on The Bump. Speaking of The Bump, it was announced tonight that we will have new Raw Women's Champion Asuka on our program this week, which will be very exciting. There's so much there with this. As I said on the two other times, congratulations to Becky Lynch. The man is now becoming the mom. And from everyone at The Bump, we congratulate her, and we can't wait to see what this next chapter brings. We also can't wait to see what this next chapter brings for Asuka. One women's Money in the Bank ladder match last night wound up being a women's Money in the Bank ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship, which nobody knew at the time, except for Becky Lynch. And again, as I was saying, so interesting how it parallels and the tentacles that come off of this, especially given the history between Asuka and Becky. And we're going to try to get Evan in here one more time. And so, and just in case we can't, let me bring up my notes, make sure I'm hitting everything we want to talk about tonight. But yeah, so much. I can't wait to hear what Asuka has to say this Wednesday with us, 10 a.m. Eastern on The Bump. Check it out. WWE Network, all of our social platforms. Check out The Bump Podcast. That's always fun. And so I would be remiss, just in case, especially if we cannot connect with Evan here in a minute. I hope Rey Mysterio's okay. Crazy night for Seth Rollins, obviously, and all things in relation to what we were talking about earlier with Becky. But then really went after Rey Mysterio in a pretty horrifying way. I've been, watching WWE for a large majority of my life, and it's one of the more unsettling things I've ever seen. We hope Rey is okay. Seth seemed to have no recollection of it after the fact in some ways. Kind of said he didn't know what came over him. And it was troubling. It was troubling to say the least. We hope Rey is okay. And think we might have Evan T. Mack. Think we might have done it. We did.
Hey, we got it. We got it. WWE Universe. We here. Ryan Papola, Hell in the Cell poster. Look at that scruff. Look at that beard. Look at that strong beard.
I don't know.
That beard is strong.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
What's your ancestry.com? Why you be able to grow all that, man? Let's check the background before we get into this WWE Raw. Where you from?
I mean, it's getting unseemly.
Where you from?
I got 2 weeks max before I'm just a shrub. But
shout out to all the barbers across the nation. You will be busy very soon.
We salute you. How you doing, bud? What a crazy night,
dude! It was raucous. It was wild. It was pandemonium.
As I've said a few times, congratulations to Becky Lynch. The floor is yours to wish congratulations as well.
Yeah, Miss Becky Lynch. It's a beautiful moment, man. I know. Listen, it's a miracle of life. Some things that we undersell a little bit about the beauty and amazement of becoming a mother, something I will never experience. But I got a mama, and she's dope. And she talked how cool it was the first time she saw me. So shout out to Becky Lynch, baby.
Amazing moment. But off of that, as I've said here, Asuka, our new Raw Women's Champion. Isn't that crazy to think that last night we were watching a Raw Women's title match? And none of us had any idea whatsoever. Isn't that crazy?
I didn't even know.
Becky Lynch is the only person who knew. And it's wild because I was saying, we were at Royal Rumble in Houston this year. Those two faced off. They have such an elaborate history. Those situations did not wind up with Asuka being Raw Women's Champion. But now, in a really kind of crazy, beautiful full circle way, the title was passed from Becky to Asuka in this beautiful moment. And Asuka is our new reigning champion on Raw. It's wild,
absolutely sensational, man. Asuka, one of my favorite to ever do it. The favorite to ever lace him up. She's been running amok too for the past month too. She's been running amok on commentary. She's been harassing KB and Charlie Caruso and Renee Young, and she's been harassing everybody and doing her thing in her own beautiful Asuka way. The Empress is here now. It might not be how she drew it up, but she is the Raw Women's Champion, and I'm telling you, she is a worthy champion. Once upon a time, Asuka did not lose for a very long time, so she's back to the top of the mountain. And congratulations to Becky Lynch.
Yes, 100%. While we're on that, let's move to Shayna Baszler, who was not pleased with anyone tonight. Shayna Baszler, it was as if like when I was like 14 years old and just on like random Power Ranger message boards, like the people who didn't like me, that's what Shayna Baszler sounded like tonight. Just like all of the worst things anyone could say to a human was what she was saying. Right before you hopped on, as I fumbled with technology to try to get you in here, I was saying that although I don't in any way, shape, or form condone anything that Shayna Baszler said tonight, nor do I agree with it, if I just put myself in her shoes for a second, I guess I can maybe understand where she's coming from. Came up just short at WrestleMania, and now is told that not only did she come up just short last night and what she thought was a Money in the Bank ladder match, she came up just short and what was a Raw Women's Championship ladder match. So I think what she said, and don't tell her I said this, was reprehensible. But I can understand why she's upset. Do you agree with me?
I do, but you on the WWE account, man. She can watch this. You know she's an employee, World Wrestling Entertainment. I'm just saying, you don't tell her she could be watching.
Just keep your voice down.
Yeah, but it's understandable. You know what I mean? Not justifiable, but I understand where she's coming from. She might have woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Listen, but that's Shayna Baszler. That's one thing I can say about her. She's true to form. That's who she is when she wakes up. That's who she is when she goes to sleep. I only see her smiling when she's knocking people out, tapping people out. Yeah. So it's like I would have been more shocked if she'd be like, "Congratulations, Becky, on a wonderful and amazing announcement." I'd have been stunned.
That would have been the crazier turn of events. And a big win over Natalya for tonight. And so who knows how the Raw Women's Championship picture shapes up now? I mean, Shayna Baszler, we got to be right in that discussion. The one other tentacle of this Becky Lynch story is Seth Rollins tonight, which, first of all, we hope Rey Mysterio is okay.
Of course.
That was hard to watch. For those who didn't see it, if you're squeamish, I don't know if I'd recommend watching it, but Seth Rollins literally attempted to pierce, there's no other way to put it, attempted to ram Rey Mysterio's eye into the edge of the ring steps, like the corner of it. It was gruesome. It was gruesome, if I'm just being honest. Before that, Seth Rollins was basically lifeless. Rey Mysterio tried to wish Seth Rollins a congratulations, and Seth Rollins would have none out of it. He looked, and this isn't me saying this with any disrespect, it's the only descriptor I can think of, looked a bit disheveled and had no interest in the tag team match until Rey Mysterio literally gave him kind of a blow to the gut, and that seemed to wake Seth Rollins up in a big, big way. And then, Evan, to me, the most unsettling part was, and I want your thoughts on this, I want your thoughts on all of it, but Seth Rollins finds Rey Mysterio in the trainer's room after the fact, and half didn't seem to have any recollection of it, and then the recollection of it he did seem to have, at least was projecting remorse. Whether or not it was sincere is for us to decide as individuals. What did you make of all of this?
Yeah, it was weird, really weird. I think the commentary team might have been mistaken. It seems sincere in a weird way.
Yeah.
I think he was genuine. Listen, he might have went. Put it like this. I think the Seth Rollins that was outside the ring is not the Seth Rollins that was saying he was sorry to Rey Mysterio. Yeah. Just like you said, it really did feel like two different people because that apology seemed heartfelt. It felt like a Hallmark moment. It felt like a Lifetime movie, man. If that's what it felt. Yeah. They're good, man. They're warm, man. Come on, they're warm.
And so, I mean, it was odd, it was, and I mean, what he did to Rey was heinous, but Seth is usually, no matter what the WWE Universe ever feels about him over any span of time, whether it was his debut years ago or last night at Money in the Bank, he's consistent. He was anything but consistent tonight. We saw really several different sides of him. We saw a guy who was almost lifeless. We saw a guy who was motivatedly horrifying, if I'm just being honest. And then we saw a guy full of remorse. It was three different Seth Rollins in the span of about 30 minutes. So I don't exactly know what to make of it. But I hope Rey Mysterio is okay.
Me too, brother. Truly.
Yeah. To move to what closed the night, Edge and Randy Orton, two guys that we've talked about a ton since January on the bump, and just everyone has in the WWE Universe. Edge seemed ready to move on. He seemed ready to, move to the next challenge. And I was excited to see what he would say. And then here comes Randy Orton for a half second. Also seemed ready to move on, and then hit him with the old okey doke. And I mean, and to sum up what Randy said, and I'm really curious for your thoughts on this because you've talked about this rivalry a lot in 2020. Basically, and this is for Randy Orton, really shocking. Said, yeah, the better man won at WrestleMania, but maybe not the better wrestler. Randy's words, not mine. And ultimately challenged him to a match at Backlash, to which Edge, at least as of 11 Eastern tonight, has yet to accept, at least as best as I interpreted it. Randy challenged Edge to a straight-up wrestling match at Backlash. What did you make of all of this? It really kind of turned on its head several times over.
Yeah, basically what I feel, I interpret Randy Orton from my remote location where he cannot find me, so I'm good. I'm just trying, there's a loose interpretation that I think he feels like the bells and the whistles and the trucks and the weights and kind of helped facilitate a victory over him at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think what he's saying, you take away all the bells and the whistles and the dog and pony show, and we're in the squared circle and it's pillar to post, a couple turnbuckles here, a couple turnbuckles there. I will beat you straight up because I'm one of the best in the world who ever do it.
Yep.
And that's the interpretation I got. Whether it's right or wrong, I guess we will find out at Backlash. Because one thing I know about Edge, he's not turning this down, even though he was ready to move on. He was ready to move on. He was ready to move on for himself. He was ready to move on from his family. But if someone doesn't let you move on, it's a different story.
No, I agree. And to me, I agree with you. I can't see a scenario where Edge doesn't accept it. I think the only hesitation tonight is what you were saying. That's a big shift in the span of 5 minutes to say, all right, I'm ready for whatever the next challenge is. I'm sure he had something in his head. We'll never know what it was. At least we won't know tonight. To now saying, okay, I just really exhausted myself of this situation for 3 months, mentally, physically, emotionally. Now, even if it's not a last man standing match, even if it is just a straight up wrestling match, to have to do that again is a tall order, and something that you probably need more than 30 seconds to process. And it just so happened that the show was over. So I'm sure we'll get an answer from Edge one way or another very soon. It could be quite something, though, if it happens. It will be different than WrestleMania, which for me was one of the all-time greatest last man standing matches I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Most physical matches. It was, so it will be different if it happens, but something to keep an eye on. But I agree with you. I can't see a scenario where Edge turns it down. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, sir.
Just to be safe, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Looking through my notes here, just a loaded night. What do you make of this Drew McIntyre King Corbin match we're going to see next week? Drew McIntyre, big win over Andrade tonight in a champion versus champion match. Zelina Vega, who I hope isn't watching because she scares the bejesus out of me.
Scares me to death.
Yeah, I through no fault of your own, I think she's going to have to do some pasting of this group. It seems like the popsicle sticks may be falling apart a bit. But that's I wish Zelina the best. And if anyone can do it, she can. However, let's Drew McIntyre, big win tonight. And now, brand to brand invitation, King Corbin versus Drew McIntyre. We're going to see it on Raw next week. What say you?
The international treasure that is Drew McIntyre is the gift that keeps on giving. He's just, you know what I mean? Oh, I love that man. Listen, I say international treasure because he spans the world, man. He's from Ayr, Scotland, man. He touches so many of our hearts, man. And he's issuing out challenges. And a man that large should not have that much of an amazing smile because it's very deceptive. Because he has $1 million smile, but then he hits you with Claymore, and then it's 1, 2, 3, and then you have a chip on your shoulder. He's just giving out Claymores, man. Yeah. And he said he has a Claymore fit for a king. And Baron Corbin, to me, that 6'8" machine, he's a tough customer as well. 100%. But this is almost a dream matchup for me for size versus seconds because King Corbin's a big dude. He takes no prisoners. He takes no nonsense. He is king of the ring versus the champ. This is gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful, man.
No, it's a big deal. It's a match. I was saying before you came on, it's just like give me two tough guys fighting one another, and I'm happy.
Why not?
It's like I'm not in there fighting them. So it's like listen, who knows how everything's gonna unfold here as the weeks go on. If King Corbin defeats Drew McIntyre, who knows what type of conversation we're having on the bump next week.
Different conversation.
I mean? Yeah, it's like things change at that point. So it's a big deal. It's a big match. Drew McIntyre, as we've said over and over since WrestleMania and really even beforehand, is on an unbelievable roll. But King Corbin, King Corbin, they asked him tonight, they were like, any remorse about throwing those people off of that building? He's like, nah, there's another roof. They're fine.
They're
He
good.
don't care. He don't care at all.
He checked the schematics of the flagship. He's like, they're good.
I bump into somebody on the sidewalk accidentally, and I'm a wreck for a week. This guy throws two people off a building and it's skipping around the performance center.
Shout out to Jinder Mahal as well, man.
Hero's Journey. I mean, he's eyeing the WWE Championship, and listen, has looked good since he's come back.
Yep.
That can go anywhere. It's with right now after tonight. Seth Rollins was Drew McIntyre's latest challenger. He vanquished that last night. Who knows what's next? What's next in the short term is King Corbin, but all it takes is one person to make the right move towards King Corbin, the right challenge, the right victory. So it's gonna be really interesting to see where this WWE title picture goes. Another thing that was very interesting tonight was a game of hoops. Now, for those who don't know, Evan T. Mack once dabbled with the balancesto, the dribbling arts, and could have gone pro, untimely injury, but I know it. Last Dance would have been about Evan T. Mack. Just put you over big. We talk about Edge going through. Now, these are different things. These are different classifications of thing, right? We talk about Edge going through a rapid sway of emotions in a short period of time. The Street Profits defeated the Viking Raiders in a game of hoops by I'm rounding. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was something like 506-2. And the 2 for the Viking Raiders came in the last second. And I'm writing my notes because I knew I had to do this with you. I'm going, Viking Raiders scored 2 points, aren't very good at basketball. And then we go to commercial. We come back from commercial, Evan T. And it turns out that you ever seen like a good sitcom where you play somebody in pool and you scrape them? And then you find out, you're like, hey, you want to play one more? And the guy who just got scraped is actually a wizard at
pool shark. Shark, baby.
That's what happened to the Street Profits tonight. There was no second game of hoops, but the Viking Raiders went out of their way to make the Street Profits feel inferior yet again. You, as a master of the dribbling arts, what did you make of all of this? Listen,
man, many moons ago, many pounds less ago, I was all right. I dabbled in witchcraft and wizardry. I had a little bit of skills, man. I was a mediocre talent. I was like this. I was here. I was on the come up. You know what I mean? I know a little bit about it. It's my favorite game in the entire world. And I'm telling you right now, I was like, oh, it's a rap, man. It's the problem. It's the street. It's what we talking about here. But old arrogant Ivar lying in the weeds. Yeah. You know what I mean? Scouting out the Profits, letting the Profits know that if they were to play again, let's say it was a best of 7, best of 5, gave the Street Profits something to think about. Gave them something to think about.
I can't say for sure. I just saw them dribble a little bit, to make some dunks, make some shots.
The jump shot looked good.
I don't want to say this without seeing them play a real game, because I guess what we maybe saw tonight wasn't a real game. But, I think I would favor the Viking Raiders. And again, Evan, this runs so deep because the Street Profits have not been able to crack the code in the ring. And now here they thought they found this thing that they could defeat them in. And the Viking Raiders lulled them into this false sense of security. I felt so bad for Tez.
Yeah, you should. You should. Because listen, heaven forbid, they do the axe throwing. Or they do heaven forbid because tit for tat. Listen, if the universe works the way it's supposed to work, it should be the Viking Raiders be able to call what the next game is, and if it's in there for them, what we talking about?
I mean, so I don't know if this ultimately leads with a Raw Tag Team title match, but at the moment, if I'm the Street Profits right now, if I'm if they're riding back home or whatever they're doing, if they're FaceTiming, if they're on a private IG live that is competing with ours that we don't know about. I'm just saying, what do we got to do to beat these guys? They're like Uno. What are they like? They're looking for anything. But it was a very smart tactical. We're seeing a different side of the Viking Raiders as of late. Intimidation's always going to work when you're Eric and Ivar. But now if you're adding that, they're premier athletes, no relation to Tony Nese. And just but also they're playing the cerebral games. man, I like very seldom are champions underdogs, and I'm at the moment though, and I love the Street Profits, but at the moment it would be hard to say that they wouldn't be the underdogs next time they face off in the squared circle. But right now, when it comes to the collar and elbow, I think you have to lean towards the Viking Raiders.
How could you not now? But now they got the psychological basketball advantage, man. Going into the match, they thinking about, wait a minute, hold on. Are they not showing us all their moves in the ring?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what?
Well, there's that too. I mean, I would love to know what Bianca Belair is saying right now to Tez and Doc. So it just seems like she kind of called this a few weeks ago. Like not that Montez and Angelo are taking their eye off the prize, but the Viking Raiders are they're really coming at them with some ninja Harlem Globetrotter-esque combined tactics. I mean, they are literally fusion hotting the ninja tactics.
Nice reference.
Globetrotter.
Strong reference.
Yeah, I am doing my best. So who knows? Like maybe next week's a pogo stick contest. But looking at my notes here, another big thing tonight. What do you make of this? I know what I want to close with. We'll get to it in a second. But what do you make of this Lashley MVP? I think they might be chatting right now. It sounded like MVP has been kind of. I don't know if he seems to be luring people. I'm not exactly sure what MVP's motives are, but they had that interesting moment last night where Lashley took MVP's place against R-Truth. Those conversations continue today and might be happening right now. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think he sees what a lot of people see. He sees not about potential with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, the decorated champion. I believe he sees something that's bothering him, someone that's great walking in the back. If you ever are in the back and you see Lashley, you see what he represents and what he's capable of. And I think it's MVP being like, okay, maybe he needs a little bit of push because maybe he forgets how great he is.
Yeah.
And if I'm the guy that can bring that back in him, why not?
For sure.
Why not?
For sure. 100%. I'm curious to see what those conversations are. It is not to be forgotten that, R-Truth gets the big win tonight. I mean, and Pretty Ricky also. I'm not exactly
Pretty Ricky. Oh, Pretty Ricky.
I know R-Truth. I've never met Rick. He seemed like a nice fellow.
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. So very curious to see what they're. However, last and by no means least, big return tonight here on Monday Night Raw. I was excited about it. I was going to text you, but I wanted to save our reaction for here.
I was waiting for this.
The Fighting Pride of Australia, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. The Iconics are back, and I couldn't be happier. Big win. Big win. I'm just happy to have him back. What say you?
If people wonder why these ladies walk around with this oomph, this je ne sais quoi, this swag, it's because these ladies that come out, they talk their trash, and then they win the titles.
Back it up. I mean, Samoa Joe made a great point. Samoa Joe made a great point that, in terms of being a team, they are as proficient as anyone. Win a non-title match tonight. Now, Raw, WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match next week. They've been back a week, Evan, and here they are, literally in the thick of the picture. And I right at the moment, now, Graham, I'm being a prisoner of the moment. At the moment, going to be hard to pick against them next week. Have already built some major momentum, and definitely, I would imagine have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross shook. And yeah, they're just so fluid as a unit, and I'm so glad they're back.
You come into the business at the same time and literally are best friends, and you love the industry equally, and you wrestle together, and you train together, and you practice together, and you scout people together. It'd be hard pressed for me to think they could not win the titles. You know what I mean? And
we saw them do it tonight. We saw them defeat that unit tonight.
It's incredible, man. Very impressed, man. And I'm happy to see them back, by the way.
Thrilled they're back. Thrilled they're back. So next week, off the top of my head, we got Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin and some inter-brand warfare. We have a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. That's sign me up. I'm in. Sign me up. And then, Evan, did you hear the news that broke a little bit after Asuka was named Raw Women's Champion tonight? We're gonna have an exclusive interview with Asuka on our show, The Bump, this week. Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern on all digital platforms and WWE Network. Can't wait to hear what the new champ has to say.
Oh, cut that promo, baby. Cut that promo.
I can't wait. All right. So because of all technical difficulties, it's a little later than usual. We will wrap up here. But final thoughts, Evan. What a night, right? What a night.
It was awesome, man. Fresh off of Money in the Bank, fresh off of one of a kind Money in the Bank, fresh off of amazing surprises at the Money in the Bank. Shout out to Otis for winning the Money in the Bank. Shout out to the icon that is Oscar winning the championship and the Money in the Bank in the same night. It was a beautiful thing, man. Shout out to Return of the Iconic. Seeing Jinder Mahal was awesome.
Yeah.
Zelina Vega, you gotta get your stable together, girl. There's some things going on, but I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna push it up there. I'm pushing it up there. Ryan, go up there. Go up there now. I'm done.
I might not save this to IGTV now.
I'm done.
I don't want it to be archived, but I agree with everything you said. Big couple nights. I can't wait to break it down with you more. Wednesday on the Bump, 10 a.m. Eastern, WWE Network, all of our social platforms. We have the podcast. I can't wait to hear what Oscar's going to have to say. Randy Orton and Edge, that's a developing story. So much, Evan, too much. I could list it all for hours. We'll talk on Wednesday. Crazy Raw. But lastly, and most importantly, congratulations to Becky Lynch.
Becky!
What a beautiful moment. All our best. We'll probably say it 1,000 more times this Wednesday on the Bump, but all the best from us. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with us through those first 15 minutes of me not understanding how the internet works. And Evan T., I will talk to you Wednesday on our Sports Entertainment Morning Show. You're the best.
Yes, sir. Take care, you too, brother. Peace.
Good night, guys.